as a company, as a business, what do you actually want to be known for? And how far away from being known for that thing are you now, right? Mm-hmm. So your marketing is to get you known for that thing. It's not to try and sell yourself. It's to get you known as that thing, so people trust you about that thing.
Welcome to What Gets Measured, a Ninja Cat podcast about marketing, performance management, metrics, and effectiveness. Because what gets measured gets managed. I'm your host, Jake Sanders. Mark A. Preston is the SEO game changer that believes in monumental marketing impact with minimal investment. With well over 2 decades experience in marketing, Mark helps his clients unlock the full potential of their business through SEO and strategy, and he's here today to talk about it. Mark, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's absolutely awesome to be here.
Oh, my gosh. Now I'm excited I'm here. Wow. I'm pretty sure the audience is like, wait, now I'm feeling it. It's infectious, this energy. Yes, dude, thank you so much. It's been a while trying to get you on the schedule. I'm so happy you're here. You're constantly sharing really insightful stuff on social media, so it's a thrill to have you here. Let's start with strategy. There are numerous templates for marketing success, but so many marketers are struggling, particularly as of late, which makes me wonder, what is the strategic piece missing from marketing strategies?
You hit the nail on the head. The problem is the template. The problem with the template is it doesn't relate to every business. Every business is a unique piece. Every business has unique challenges. Every business has different audiences. And I've said this time and time again, the problem with marketing strategies is it's too data-driven. It's about understanding the people, the humans behind it. It's the customers. It's about understanding who they are. I mean, there's far too many stuff that gets published about, oh, well, this graph goes up, this data piece and that. They're not data pieces. They're actually people. So yes. People, you need to understand that.
What's going on? Why are people forgetting people? It seems a very people-y thing.
Well, it is, but it's mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
The problem is, as I've seen, because I go into companies and agencies and train their teams.
Yeah.
And I see it time and time again. They're looking at the data too much. They're not piecing the data with the business objectives, and they're not piecing the business objectives with the real people. You know, if the marketing team actually talk to the customers as people and ask them various questions, and ask them what the challenges are, and even what it was about the company, you know, right. What did we solve for them and all that, then the marketing would start streamlining a lot better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, I was at a marketing conference a couple months ago, and I asked the audience, raise your hand if you've had a actual voice telephone conversation with customers in the last 2 or 3 months. And 3 people raised their hands. The audience was over 100. So I was like, friends, this is your opportunity. But again, here we go. It's time, budget. Those are the things that are preventing people from having conversations, or we'll just send out a Google survey, you know, NPS, 1 to 7, just kind of help us out. What is this like? How can you tell people who are like, I don't have time to talk to the customers? What do you say to those folks?
Well, they have time to do what they're doing.
Right.
It's just that if they made time or invested an hour of what they're doing into jumping on Zoom. Just jump on Zoom with a customer, click record and see where the conversation takes us. And I love that. I love to jump on Zoom and I love to record it and just say, right, explain your business to me as though I don't know anything at all. Because the problem is when you're so enwrapped in your own business, everything seems normality. But there is golden nuggets coming out. I mean, one business, we just do what we do.
Right.
I mean, well, how long have you been established? Well, we're going to celebrate his 100th year this year as the brand.
Hello.
And I'm like, what? Oh my God.
That's huge.
It's like, but to them, it's just normality, and that's the problem.
Oh man, and you bring up a good point, which is the normality is also this familiarity. So then everything looks stale. All the marketing looks stale. We got to change it. Let's change it, switch it up. And meanwhile, no one knows who you are. So you've changed your logo 7 ways from Sunday. You change the copy on you change your tagline, change your ads, the creatives you're using, switch it up. People don't know what to pay attention to because you keep changing things because you're so familiar with your stuff. You think it's stale, but anyone outside of your business has zero clue that you are even there. And I think that's sort of sad. And maybe people don't want to admit that. But I think that's another thing that holds people back is this. You spend so much time with it. You can't see it clearly. I mean, how do you break people out of that?
Well, for me, I just simply ask them, well, as a company, as a business, what do you actually want to be known for? And how far away from being known for that thing are you now, right? Mm-hmm. So your marketing is to get you known for that thing. It's not to try and sell yourself. It's to get you known as that thing, so people trust you about that thing. Quote bomb. Woo! Now, different businesses want to be known for different things.
Right.
Personal brands, people want to be known for different things. But if they don't know what they want to be known for in the first place, then that's the problem.
Wow. So let's pivot to another, aspect of marketing that you focus in on particularly well, which is SEO. And boy, given all the state of AI right now, SEO is having its OMG moment. It feels like it, but you have been in this space and very deeply engaged. What do you think the future of SEO is? Where are we at right now? And where are we headed?
Do you know what? I've never been more excited with SEO, and I've been doing this over 20 odd years. And the reason being, SEO is going forward to focus on the brand, focus on, people building really good businesses, really solid brands, and getting away from, we're just doing things to tick a Google box. I think a lot of it is, especially in the SEO world, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things
right
that's not generating the right kind of impact.
Yes.
So, for instance, I was looking at a business last week, and they're generating lots and lots of content. But the problem is, only a small percentage of that content has the potential to turn somebody into a new customer. So I just turned around and said, you're doing an absolutely fantastic job of servicing your competitors' customers.
Did that get them scared? Because that got me scared.
It made them realize, because the problem is SEO is seen as this checklist thing, and we need to create loads of content, and we need to, if I'm a builder, I need to create loads of content about building stuff.
Right.
But realistically, you need to create the content that your potential customers need to know in order for them to make an informed decision as to contact you. Now, if you think down that mindset, Google will understand that. And Google will understand that people's clicking through to your content because it's what they need to know. And all this collectively gets things ranked, it gets exposure. Not only that, it turns people into customers. And for me, SEO is not about changing things just because Google like it. The fact is, if you really focus on the business and the conversions and understanding the people and using the content to give them that context, then Google will naturally start loving it because they know that your customers love the brand.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting to that leak. What was your thought about the Google data leak? Did you find anything interesting in there or informative or just sort of like, yeah, duh?
Well, there was lots and lots and lots of things in it.
Tons of things, yes.
But you have to put everything in context, right? Like everything I do, everyone were raving about it. And I'm saying, well, has anyone proven anything to do with this? What part of this relates to the businesses I advise? And it's the word context. I mean, there was 14,000 and some different things in it. And the problem is we don't know if it went live, if it didn't, right, what's going on. I mean, the context behind it, you can't just say that everything in there is factual. It might have been factual sometimes. It might not have been. We don't know.
Right. Context. My gosh. I mean, and context seems to be something that people just naturally know, but I think there needs to be a little bit more intentionality around context. And I was speaking, a couple episodes back to a statistician. They were like, people need to really start getting a nose for data. And it's just like, I maybe you have a bunch of data science understanding, or you're very numerically literate. Most marketing professionals, even businesses and brand owner, they know how to kind of get an idea about what data is telling them. But the context wherein which this data came from, what it says, what it means, those are things that maybe we need to kind of drive skills. And it goes into the next question, which is, you were saying at the beginning, it's too data driven. We're too data driven. But we do need data. So like speaking about data management, how does getting like a solid grip on data help marketers? And then how can the quest confuse them?
Right. So obviously there's two aspects here. There's one, yes, we do need data, but we need the right kind of data, because without the data, we don't understand if what we're doing is working the way we want it to work or not.
Yeah.
And the data will allow us to tweak things in the right direction if people read it properly.
Right.
The problem is if people just focus on the data. I mean, data is part of the process, but if you focus all your decisions based on the data 100%, there might be factors outside of that data that you haven't thought about.
Well, I mean, but there is this thing where it's like you have a good idea, but you have to show me. You have to explain your reasoning. Show me a chart that backs up the evidence for your hypothesis. Everything needs to be rooted in data for anyone to say, oh, okay, cool. Like, it has to be completely objective. Like, how do you help people kind of navigate this thread? Because I can't, maybe I have an interesting idea or a hypothesis or an experimental idea, but I don't have data to prove what I'm believing or feeling. How are we supposed to go about, getting an idea that isn't tangible or connected to data to be approved in the similar way a data-backed decision would be approved? Did that make sense?
Well, you have to provide a proof of concept, right? So the problem is a lot of marketers and SEOs and people in the digital industry, they try and come up and said, we've got this massive idea and it's going to cost an absolute fortune and everything. Well, okay, that's fine. But how am I supposed to trust that idea? So initially, you have to say, okay, yes, we want to achieve this big thing up here, but let's do a 3-month proof of concept based on a lot lower objective, just to prove the concept works. Now, we then have to put tracking in place and data in place to prove that that's working, to back up what we're saying.
Right.
I mean, otherwise, it's just me saying we've done a good job. If we've nothing to back it up, or, talking to the sales team, looking at the leads, talking to the people that receive the leads, what's the quality of those leads been better? That's a lot of, data doesn't tell you the quality of the leads, and all these things, talking to the sales team and say, oh yeah, but it's fantastic. We've converted a lot more people. Well, you've converted a lot more people because we're now driving the right type of people to you. But doing it and packaging all that up and presenting that in a format saying, oh, well, look, ultimately, if you're presenting pound notes for the business, then, I've run this mini campaign and spent 10 grand on this campaign, but we have proven, talking to all these different people in the business, that 10 grand has turned into 100 grand. Now, if we've proven the methodology, we've proven the concept. If we then invest more into it, then we've proven the system we created is working.
Yeah. Well, it's about the delta of data and people. Like, you got so pumped at the beginning of this interview about people. Like, it is about the people. The market doesn't exist without the people. But what you're saying is the people inside the agency, the people inside the brand, if you're in-house or whatever. How often do you see a marketing team consistently communicating to those sales reps, to the account, executives, to, all those things? How often do you see that communication is happening?
I see a lot of disconnection when I go into businesses and agencies. Right. A lot of, there's some fantastic agencies out there. There really is. But, there are some that's seen as a conveyor belt. And the even in-house, even within businesses themselves, they siloed into their own bubble. So, well, we don't talk to anyone. So, well, why not? There's decisions being made based on what you do. Somebody in your team needs to be represented at the table of the decision-making process, because they're making decisions based on the impact you're going to generate. And I think it's all about bringing people together and communicating. And it's the internal communications I've found that is lacking sometimes.
Yeah. And but there's Slack, there's email, there's Zoom, there's all these other places. Like, we should have this locked. Why aren't people reaching out? It's I could probably just slap my head and be like, well, they're busy doing that busy work that you were talking about earlier. Like, there are a lot of actions happening in marketing, but do those generate results? Because they're going to ask you eventually, like, somebody's going to say what happened. And so that's why I think it's important for you to spread out and talk to as many people to keep your job. Like, if you think I'm just going to do my job and I'm going to keep my job because I'm doing that, no, you have to put your tentacles out, your roots. They have to be touching the soil that your tree is growing in. And that's only going to happen if you interact with other people and say, hey, I have an idea for a campaign. Tell me what you've learned from sales discovery calls, or what are the close lost things? How did we lose those things? Like what can we find? I mean, there are so many tantalizing places where you can create really informed experimental thoughts about marketing or adjust the tagline, but it ain't going to happen if you're just sitting there staring at your own computer. I mean, people need to hang out. Do you think people just don't like each other, Mark? Why aren't people talking to one another?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of people who naturally are afraid, to step out of their own little bubble, their own comfort zone. And the problem is, like, when they do have these meetings, there needs to be an objective there before.
Talk
we need
about
to
that.
go in and say, this is the objective of this meeting. Otherwise, you spend half an hour talking about taking your dog for a walk last night.
Which is great. We want to know, but also talking about what type of pizza toppings you like. we have a job to do. No, I think you're right. And one thing that I've noticed is I'm kind of talkative, in meetings, but then that ends up with me having to do all the things. If you have an idea, oh, that's awesome. Jake, great. You're in charge of it. Oh, no. I just wanted to have a really fun thought. And I think that also stops people from chiming up, because if you say something, that's on you, and people are like, I don't want extreme ownership of anything. Like I'm just here,
Yeah, I think there's a fine balance. Obviously, there's only so much resource you have. There's only so much time you have. And it's about prioritization. And I've gone into companies and agencies who are prioritizing the time on things that don't generate positive impact. Because it's nice to do, yes. Maybe this report and this tool tells them that they've loads of errors and they go and spend a week fixing them, but it's not actually going to get them any closer to the actual business goals.
Man, it's like, it's a difference between nice to do and need to do. Like there's a big difference. Man, this is amazing. Let's go into some story time, because I want to kind of hear more about how you're engaging with clients. Do you have a Cinderella story about SEO strategy or, success or any of those things with a client that you've worked on, like real rags to riches kind of thing? And then also, do you have a horror story about this stuff going wrong?
Well, I've been working with a business for a number of years and went in, and actually I went in to do training with them, and suddenly come to a long-term advisory. Nice. At that time, there was turning over 34 million. Now they've grown into 153 million.
Wow.
But there's been lots and lots of challenges along the way, to make that happen.
Right.
And understanding the business side of it is the challenge in itself. And fitting this all together on how do we grow, because you get to a certain point and then all the processes has to change, because the processes that you use then will not work at the next growth level.
Right.
So it's a continuous challenge to actually move through it, but it's looking good. And in that business, I do have shares. So nice. Obviously, I'm going to reap the reward for the positive impact I've enabled into that business. Now, yes. As far as horror stories,
yeah.
I mean, where do we want to start?
I don't know. We do have limited time. We have limited time, Mark.
Yes. Now, I think that the horror story is for one particular brand who didn't, say, take the advice on, and because of that, and due to the nature of all the Google updates, that 10 people lost their jobs.
Whoa.
Now, it's not about their rankings tanked. It's not about, their visitors tanked. It's about real people within the business. And unfortunately, the direction they were going was too heavy on that entity that actually I said, look, it's not going to last forever. We need to look at other things. We need to streamline. We need to tweak. But because they said, well, we're generating lots of money and it's cheap, that's the mindset they were in. Now, unfortunately, people lost their jobs. And for me, we've said it's about the people, and I was gut-wrenched. And when they approached me afterwards, I said, I told you this would happen. But we didn't want to spend that much.
Well,
I said, so as a consequence, you've now lost your business.
So I've been thinking about recently, if marketing is sold as this forever, like you're going to get forever growth, like you're going to be here, and the potential is here, the future is here, you're going to live forever, in some way. Do you think that it might be important? Because what you said to that brand was very sobering advice. This isn't going to last forever. And I don't think we say that enough in marketing and businesses. There are many more failures than there are successes, 10 times as many. But we don't think about that. We don't think about the death of a brand or, the end of, a marketing, attempt. Do you think maybe getting people mentally geared towards a finite timeline of existence would help them make better decisions, or would it end up causing more YOLO, kind of like, hey, this isn't going to last forever, so I'm going to do as much as I can for as cheap as I can, and I don't care, damn the consequences. What do you think, if more people heard that it's not going to last forever, do you think it would be a positive thing or a negative thing?
It has to be positive because it gets people in the right mindset.
Right.
The thing is, things change. Yes. Not just technology changing, not just the platforms changing, not just the way marketing's changing, but the way people buy things change, the way people search for things change.
Right.
There's events in time that we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
That's out of our control that change.
Yeah.
And if you don't change your marketing and SEO and all your digital along with those changes, you're going to be left behind. And it's very much dependent also on, well, what are your competitors doing? If you're in the mindset of, well, I'm not changing, I'm not going to spend anymore, but all your competitors has ramped things up, you're going to fade into the background.
Yes. And I think that's also another thing, this competition for market share of voice, share of search. That is an ongoing frustration, and it will widen and it will shrink and all those things. But you have to be able to stay in constant communication, have context applied to your campaigns, start thinking about the people and empowering them, prioritize their time, run better meetings. All of this stuff is amazing. Don't just tick boxes. Like, let's start making some meaningful moves. I mean, you have said so many amazing things in this interview, but if you could give one piece of advice for the audience about strategy, SEO, digital marketing, of course, those are different things, but one piece of advice, just kind of something you'd say to a friend who is struggling in this area.
Right. Be open to be adaptable to change, right? Not everything is constant. Be adaptable to change. Look at what's happening around you and focusing on the things that's actually going to drive business forward.
Amen. Sanctus. The audience just lifted up and started applauding. It's amazing. So, Mark, thank you so much for taking time out to give us this masterclass in just thinking and just awareness. I mean, it was a very deeply human, awesome episode. Your energy is infectious. You are a fantastic person to follow on social. Mark is always giving out good advice for free. How can people connect with you and learn more about you, Mark?
Right. Well, if you just search Mark A. Preston on the X, Twitter platform or LinkedIn, right. Them are the two platforms, and you can find my website at markapreston.com.
Cheese or chocolate?
Are you ready?
Go for it.
Cheese or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Casino or IKEA?
IKEA.
You probably stand to lose less money there. Okay, buffets. Never go or never leave?
Oh, never leave.
You're over by the waffle iron or something? Mark, get away. Okay. Journey or funnel?
Journey.
Yeah, it's better. Cook and dine or delivery and chill?
Delivery and chill.
It's just easier that way. Let's just be honest. And most importantly, Mosasaurus or Megalodon?
I haven't got a clue what any of them are.
I knew I was taking a risk with that one. They are a giant shark and a giant swimming reptile. Which one would you choose? Here right now, you got a giant shark.
Reptile.
Your money's on the reptile?
Yeah.
Safe bet.
What Gets Measured is a Ninja Cat podcast. Please rate and review the show wherever you find your podcasts. Share this episode on social and visit us on the web at ninjacat.io.